Hey guys, Jeff here, Dice Setters. So I thought we'd go with it this direction because 2021 is actually the time that Doc and Marty actually advanced to on that cool movie Back to the Future. What would happen if you could see stuff in the future and then go back to where time exists? What would you bet on? If it was a baseball game you happened to see, or a news article that you could happen to grab a hold of before you go back in the future, or back in the past, where time now exists. Well, what if you can do that on the craps table? What if we can sit there and figure out when we should actually pull the money from the table? That's pretty simple, but nobody seems to be doing that. In fact, when I show up at the craps table and I have my little book and I sit there and make notes, I'm the only one that does that. It's extraordinarily hard for me to do that when I'm playing, and a lot of times I just can't do both. I can't play, put my money where I need to put it, and keep notes. The cool thing is if you have a loved one, somebody you can trust, a partner, a wife, a husband, hopefully they can come to the craps table with you and do those things for you. And that right there is the ticket. That's the ticket that we'll be able to see in the future. So one thing you need to do before you can see into the future is you got to have a good dice roll. And when I mean good dice roll, I mean something that can carry you on to 7 rolls before the 7, 8 rolls before the 7. It'd be even extremely cooler if you could go maybe 20 rolls before the 7. Just think about that. What would you do in 19 rolls if you knew that the 7 was going to come out on the 20th roll? Well, definitely when the 20th roll came, you'd have all your money down. But how would you bet? How would you bet differently? Knowing after roll 20, that's when you're going to 7 out. Well, we can do that. We can replicate that on this table or any table, as long as you're the one shooting. Now, other people have different, roles. They have different whatever, but you can just do this for your own. If you happen to see other people that are dice setting, you can get your book out. You can sit there and figure out, kind of when are they going to sit there and have a 7. Now, of course, it's all on average. So you might actually set the point and 7 out by mistake. We won't hold that against you, but the next time you could roll for 20. So then the average would be 10. That would be the average. Is that you go 10 times without 7ing out, or at least close to 10. I did this with the camera off because it messes with my mojo when I have the camera on. It puts more stress on me doing everything correctly. But if you take a look, this is my 7 out. I'll count how many we have. 1, 2, 3. That was one roll. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So based on that, I'm at 21. That's pretty good. But is that my average? I don't know. This is my first time at this table. So I'm going to keep on writing it down in my book until I've had 6 sessions, 10 sessions, where I don't have a lot of money to lose, but at the same time I'm keeping a report about how good I'm doing or how bad I'm doing. And if I'm doing bad, then of course I'm going to have to adjust my dice set to try to compensate that to get my number higher before I 7 out. So that's what I did. I know I have a good dice throw. What did I figure out? 21 times? 22 times?
21.
21 times. That's pretty good. What would be even better is if we could continue that on to the craps table in Vegas or wherever you might play. So you say, Jeff, how do you do that? I'm so glad you asked. It's called consistency. I have this cool dice set I learned from one of the many people I sit there and watch. I rather just not name the people, but there are quite a few people I sit there and watch. It is an all 7 set. It looks different to you than it does to me, but the thing is that it's 7 no matter how you roll it. And the thing I have is if it's 7 now, all it would take is just one roll to get it out of that 7 set, and you're less likely to roll a 7. Perhaps. Perhaps not. I'm not for sure. The biggest thing is the landing. If you can land this thing perfectly, you pretty much have it made. If you can't land this thing perfectly, yeah, that's when you mess up. Come out roll is 9. We won't put a chip there because we got that big chip there showing us that we rolled 9, but we will keep track of what numbers we roll. I myself, it doesn't, truly all 7 set doesn't matter what 7 set you have. I just like something simple. I was doing the 6-5. I decided to switch it up. I'm doing the 1-2 on one side and the 6-5 on the other. But you do it however you choose. If everything works right, you should just come in for a landing right past the pass line. There goes a hard 6. You should roll more hard numbers doing this dice set than doing probably any other dice set. And the reason why I say that for is because all it takes for you to have a hard number is for your dice to do that. And that doesn't matter, it doesn't matter which all 7 you have. If one dice goes one way, one tumble, and the other dice does the other tumble, you have a hard way. That's why the hard way is pretty much so unforgiving, because you're more than likely going to roll a 7 rolling the hard way. It's not that I'm a good roller. I tell you at the table, man, at times I can really... If you ever see me at the table, you're like, man, that's that guy that can throw so well? It's called It's Not My Table, and I was probably trying to figure out how to roll. And at times I've done 30 rolls, 40 rolls. But it's all about consistency. That landing was not the best. If you ever have a favorite pie, whether it be from your wife, whether it be from your grandma, whether it be from your aunt, uncle, whatever, if you have a favorite pie that so-and-so makes, the reason why you like it so much is because it's consistent. Every time you get it, it always tastes the same. It always never changes. It's always perfect. Same thing with a good dice roller. You got to be consistent. The times I mess up are the times I don't make my landing zone. Or I'm just at a new table and I'm trying too hard. I don't know. Eight. Easy 8. And that was my 7. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rolls. And it came out like this, 1, 6. And of course I start with that like that. So this guy here rolled over here. And this guy here turned that way. Sometimes that happens if you don't have a good enough spin on the dice to keep them going the way that you want to go. But if you know your beginning, you can see your result, you can always come back here and go, now how did that happen? And you can sit there and say, well, maybe I just didn't have, a good enough spin on it. Sometimes you can hold it different ways to get more of a spin on it. But duplication is the key. To get your numbers up there. Now here I just sat there and rolled another 7. And you can see that the numbers are different. And again, you can sit there and dissect it, I started with the 1, 2. That's the 1, 2. And you say, well, how did I get to that? Well, on this side, I had the 6, 5. So it sat there and spun around completely. Maybe too much. But that's how you look into the future. That's how you sit there and make money. Go to a table, always the same table. Write it down. I know it's hard if you're trying to bet and you're trying to roll and you're trying to, so maybe give that job to somebody else. Write down what I roll. And don't sit there and write down, say 11. You're going to write down, I have a 5 and a 6. And that way you can keep a track of what, what number does what. And if you always are rolling this way, then you're going to mark down on your book, the first dice, the second dice. And that way you can always tell, if you're always rolling it that way, what the, after it rolls, which dice did what. And if you keep on rolling a 7 and they keep on being like 1, 6, you might have to tweak your the way you're holding it, the landing zone, the number of rotations you have in it, whatever it might be. My biggest thing is that a lot of people are looking at me. I know right now there's just my wife and myself, but it's just the fact that you're trying to do it so that you can, I did do 21 times the last time, but I didn't this time. But that's how you look into the future. That way that you're like, okay, I'm up to my, say 20 is your cutoff spot. 20, I get 20, I hit a 7. And it happens over and over. Well, stop at 18. Take your money down. That means that you could even press it. You could sit there and press it. Or power press it. That you're actually giving them money to from your winnings to press up. And that's what's going to sit there and win you big. If you start getting a couple of blacks up there or some purples, man, you get a purple up there, that's $500 up there that you're betting with. If you get a black, that's $100. Now you're talking, and if you sit there and double press a black chip, now you're gonna have 2 black chips up there. Before long, you're gonna have a purple chip up there, and just hang out with the purple chip because that's $500 every time you roll. Why not? But that's how you can look into the future. You can see how there's going to be times that you're going to die. There's going to be times that you're just going to go, yeah, I didn't make it this time. Lower your number down maybe. Think back what, was it a bad throw? Was it a bad landing zone? Whatever it's going to be. And I hope that helps you. If you like it, push like. If you are not a subscriber, please be a subscriber. I would love to sit there and go live. It would help me a lot in Vegas that I can sit there and push a button. I can show you stuff live. And I'm not talking like videotaping when you're not supposed to be at a casino. I mean, just certain things that I see that I can sit there and videotape. I'd love to just to go boom, live. This is it. Instead of having to do all the other stuff I have to do. But it'd be really cool to do that. But like, share, subscribe. Tell me what you think. And if this has been a help to you, put that in the notes as well. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.